Who is Jenny Everywhere exactly? To sum things up, Jenny Everywhere is a fictional character made by Stephen Wintle, who is a Canadian comic book artist. As for why she was created, it was because she was meant to be an open source character who wasn't going to be subjected to copyright restrictions and could be used for original or even fan-made stories. I actually mentioned her a couple of times in some of my previous videos due to having discovered her after watching the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once a couple years back with TV tropes. Even having a page article for her. She is portrayed as being a mysterious young woman who can travel through various worlds and dimensions and is also known as the Shifter because of it. She is often drawn to resemble a vaguely Asian or even indigenous person with goggles on her head and a scarf around her neck. Because I don't get to see a lot of works involving her, whether they be fan-made or not, I decided to feature her in some of my fanfiction stories, starting with my Encanto x Coco series, for those of you who have been reading up on it and kept up with the series up until now. In fact, I actually made my own backstory for Jenny, or at least the variant that I featured in said fanfiction I mentioned just now, since most versions of her tend to have very different backstories or even no backstory at all. Behold, here is my version of Jenny Everywhere, and how she came to be a dimensional traveler who visits different realms and universes, such as my fantastical fanfic universe, or as it's officially called in universe, Earth 2018. In Earth 97 PL, during the late 90s, there was a young Canadian girl of half Japanese and half Cree descent who lived in Ontario, Canada with her mother, Amelia Everywhere. Jenny inherited her mother's love for planes and traveling across the world as part of her job, which was being an aviator pilot. Because her father died before she was even born, Jenny was always close to her mother, who cared for her very much and even brought back some souvenirs and keepsakes from her travels for her daughter. As a result, Jenny sought to become a pilot just like her mother out of admiration for her and travel across the world like she did. Her mother supported her dreams and even went as far as to give her airplane scarf and goggles to Jenny for her to wear when she got older, to which the young girl treasured deeply. Overall, things seemed to be looking bright for her and her mother, until a certain robot appeared in her world. One summer day, Jenny and Amelia were attending a soccer game and having fun up until a large rift appeared in the sky with a metallic being that struck fear into the hearts of everyone who saw it. Said metallic being? None other than Infinity Ultron. That's right, it was the same Ultron variant from the events of MCU What If, as he was currently on a rampage across the multiverse seeking to destroy all living beings without leaving anyone alive. Jenny was unfortunately present for the ensuing destruction, with screams of horror and agony being prominent, while Amelia desperately tried to save her daughter from being killed. They were about to drive away from the chaos in their car when Ultron caught wind of their attempts to escape and stopped them by destroying their only means of transportation. In a noble act of sacrifice, Amelia pushed Jenny out of the way the moment the mad robot shot a deadly laser at them, burning her to a crisp in the process. Jenny was traumatized and grief-stricken by the death of her mother, all the while her entire world was slowly being destroyed by Ultron and his forces. She would soon find herself being the sole survivor and was about to be killed by him personally, up until he got distracted by the presence of a certain Watcher and left, but not before vowing to finish the job. Jenny could only stay by what remained of her mother for hours while watching what was once a beautiful and thriving town being reduced to nothing but ashes and rubble, with no trace of life being left. She would have gladly allowed herself to die with her mother and world had she not been visited by a certain blue-robed entity who arrived in her world to check for survivors. Said entity was none other than Uatu the Watcher, who took Jenny in and raised her as best as he could due to feeling guilty over having indirectly caused the incident which he had been punished for off-screen. Despite the unorthodox and dark circumstances behind her adoption, Jenny found herself becoming happy under his care, especially since others like Ulana and Beyonder often showed up to assist Uatu in raising her. Wanting to help others and ensure nothing bad happened to other worlds like hers, Jenny began training to become a dimensional traveler like the Watchers and Beyonders under Uatu's supervision and the supervision of other cosmic entities who existed within the multiverse. By the time she reached her 20s, even if her physical appearance never aged due to her training and dimensional traveling slowing down her body's aging as a side effect, she had become quite the effective Watcher informant, just like a certain old man was before his unfortunate passing. However, things became tense when Jenny inevitably discovered the reason why Infinity Ultron discovered the multiverse and destroyed her world. A terrible fallout occurred between her and Uatu, who desperately tried to apologize to her, but she refused to listen as she lost any faith she once had in him before running off. She would then spend the next few months, if not years, going on a rampage against every single Ultron variant that existed in the multiverse. While she did succeed in taking them down one by one, and in some cases multiple at once, she sadly discovered that no matter how hard she tried to destroy him for good, more would pop up in the near future, which prompted her to do something drastic. Namely, by killing the creators of each Ultron variant before they were born in order to put a permanent end to their existence, especially if said creators made Ultron for less benevolent reasons. She started with Earth's mightiest heroes and quickly arrived in the world designated as Earth 8096AX in order to take out the variant of Ant-Man who existed there, as she found out about his plans to create an Ultron robot. But just when she was about to kill him in his own home, she saw the pictures he had of his loved ones, including Janet Van Dyne. Upon realizing how this Hank had more innocent and well-meaning motives compared to his other variants, and had more loved ones than any variant she had seen and heard of, she couldn't go through with the attempted assassination and left, but not before crying her eyes out over how far she had fallen. Realizing that she needed to go back and get some much-needed therapy, she returned to Uatu's domain despite their frosty relationship at the moment, before meeting a certain wheelchair-bound professor who served as her therapist at Uatu's recommendation. Of course, there was the matter of Jenny having to overcome her fear of robots and artificial intelligence due to the lingering trauma of Ultron's attack, hence why she was sent on a mission to help a certain group of alien robots protect Earth from their enemies. Her experience there proved to be both thrilling and enjoyable, as it allowed her to regain some semblance of her happier and hopeful self despite the trauma she suffered. Though this particular mission ended in a bittersweet manner, it allowed her to open up to others once more and even forgive Uatu for the mess he unwittingly caused earlier. After that, she would go on many more adventures, such as helping some humans fight against kaiju, saving a former hitman from dying in another world, assisting a certain magical family against criminals, aiding a group of turtles during their battle against alien threats, supported a group of mutants against evildoers, and even fighting against a group of vampiric entities who sought to take over the multiverse. Despite this, she never once faltered nor gave in to that darker self, which she deemed her Sarah Connor phase, since she wished to move on from her past and help people like she originally wanted to. When it comes to Jenny and her skills, I imagine she possesses these particular skills as a Watcher informant: portal generation, teleportation, enhanced strength, albeit somewhat limited compared to most, enhanced durability, again very limited, mixed martial arts, multilingualism, sword fighting or fencing, cooking, firearm usage, singing, dancing, music playing, analytical skills, business skills, therapeutic abilities, eidetic memory, exorcisms, though she may need assistance for that one, knowledge of legal systems depending on which world she has visited, and especially piloting various transportation vehicles, with planes and cars being her most prominent modes. The only places she's not able to enter, at least without help from more supernatural beings, are the afterlife and dream worlds, or anywhere that has imagination as their main source, as she cannot even go to abstract realms as well. Also, she has to concentrate on generating portals, or else she won't be able to use them properly and they'll dissipate. Not just that, overusing her portals will exhaust her and leave her quite vulnerable to any enemy attacks, as she found out the hard way. There's also the fact that she needs to know the exact location of certain areas she's in, depending on which world she's visiting, as she'll either get lost or, worse, accidentally teleport herself to another place that she doesn't know. In fact, there were a couple of incidents in the past where she accidentally teleported herself to dangerous places such as volcanoes, oceans, or even the vacuum of space itself, thus forcing Uatu and the others to save her. As for her personal belongings, she mainly has a pair of aviator goggles and a scarf, which she inherited from her mother, as stated earlier, and is always seen wearing them unless it's for certain occasions. She even possesses a special bag and vehicle that changes their appearance depending on the world they visit so as to help her blend in, as they were given to her by Uatu after she finished her training. Said bag and vehicle are said to possess nearly infinite space and serve as pocket dimensions in a sense, as they are full of hammer space for Jenny to use or to bring others in. The items she usually keeps in her bag are mostly tools, money, weapons, food, furniture, and even extra clothes just in case, since she has a more practical mind when traveling. Now, before you jump to conclusions, she is by no means a Mary Sue, as she isn't perfect nor is she invincible in any way, especially since she makes the effort to try and use her abilities to help people while also having her own flaws to overcome, such as her past traumas. She is also no jerk Sue or villain Sue, even if she may have come across as cold, if not morally ambiguous in the past. But even so, she seeks to move on from her Sarah Connor phase and become a true informant and protector of the multiverse no matter what. While she will make some cameo appearances from time to time in my fanfics, she will play a much bigger role in future stories, for her story is far from done. To end this video, I wanted to show you all what my version of her looks like, as drawn here. Yeah, I know it's not the best, but I will perhaps color it in, along with remastering it in some way in the future.